Hey everybody, welcome to another video. So this video is for Thursday, April 9th. I hope everyone's doing well. Today what we're going to do is we're going to walk through Act 3 and I'm going to touch on a couple of the key things from that act, and then also I'll highlight what you want to make sure you do for your oral quiz when you submit it by Thursday night at midnight, tonight at midnight. So that's what we're going to do today, and let's go ahead and get started. If you will turn to page 75 with me. So one thing I did notice, I received an email, shout out to Christian, I appreciate it. So I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the play, but we do have different versions of the play going on. So depending on what version you have, your page numbers might not actually correspond with what I am saying, but the line numbers do. So if you have this copy, so the green copy of A Midsummer Night's Dream, your page numbers do line up with what I'm saying. If you have the white copy of A Midsummer Night's Dream, your page numbers are going to be different, but the line numbers will be the same. So if you have the white copy, just make sure you're paying attention to the line numbers. All right, so to start in Act 3, Scene 1. So in the green book, I'm on page 75, and we are looking at lines 115. So this is the bottom of page 75, lines 115. And so this is after all the actors have been practicing their play, Pyramus and Thisbe, and Puck has just turned Bottom into a donkey, essentially. His head is basically that of a donkey. He doesn't realize it, and he comes on stage, everybody runs away. And so in line 115, Bottom says, "Why do they run away? This is a knavery of them to make me afeard." So he's saying, I don't know what happened. They must be messing with me, right? They must be trying to make me afraid. They're playing a trick on me. So he's not aware of what's going on. And then, of course, Titania, she is under the spell. And so look on the next page, page 77. So this is lines approximately 140 to 143 or so. Titania is talking, and because she's been put under the love spell, the love potion, she sees Bottom, and of course he's just been turned into this person with a donkey's head, and she says, "I pray thee, gentle mortal, sing again. Mine ear is much enamored of thy note, so is mine eye enthralled to thy shape, and thy fair virtue's force perforce doth move me on the first view to say, to swear, I love thee." So, of course, we've got Titania. She sees Bottom for the first time, and she says, "Oh my gosh, my eyes, they're enthralled by your shape," right? So Shakespeare here, he is being ironic because to be enthralled by something means you're absolutely captivated. You cannot look away from it. And so, of course, he's being ironic here because Bottom looks absolutely crazy. He has the head of a donkey. And so to say she's in love with his form, with his shape, is clearly ironic, and she goes further and says, "I love thee." So Shakespeare being very clever here. Titania moves on and she says, "Okay, I love you." Bottom's all about it, right? He's like, "Oh, this person likes me," right? Remember, he's the drama queen of all the actors, and so he loves it. He loves the attention. And so when she says, this is line 158, she says, "I do love thee, therefore go with me. I'll give thee fairies to attend on thee." So Titania says, "Come with me, Bottom. I love you. I've got fairies. They'll attend to you. It'll be great." So he does. The fairies, her little fairy servants, kind of talk to him. And then let's look at Scene 2. So that was kind of the conclusion of Scene 1, main thing from Scene 1, right? So Shakespeare uses language to show the irony of Titania, quote-unquote, falling in love with Bottom, who not only has a very comical name, but also his head has now been turned into that of a donkey. So let's look at Scene 2 now. First thing, if you look at line 6, so Puck, he is talking to Oberon, and he says, "My mistress with a monster is in love." And so he's reporting back to Oberon, and he says, "Okay, our plan worked, right? Titania is in love with a monster," because Bottom has the donkey's head. And then as we move on in Scene 2, we begin to understand what has gone wrong with the plan, right? So we've got the Athenian lovers, we've got Hermia, Helena, Lysander, and Demetrius, and everything has gone to pieces. So if you look, let's go ahead and look on line 44. So it says, "Enter Demetrius and Hermia," and Puck sees them, and he says, "This is the woman, but not this the man." So immediately Puck realizes, wait a second, that's not the person I put the juice on, right? And so they begin to talk, Demetrius and Hermia. And Hermia's so upset. She's still looking for Lysander. She woke up without him. She can't figure out where he is. And so in line 49, she says to Demetrius, she says, if thou hast slain Lysander in his sleep, being over shoes and blood, plunge in the deep and kill me too. So she thinks Demetrius could have potentially killed Lysander, and she's not pleased, right? She says, well, if you killed him, you might as well just kill me too, because I love him, right? So she's mad. They go back and forth time and time again. And then on page 87 in the Green Book, so still Act 3, Scene 2, we're now going to jump to line 79. Hermia says to Demetrius, she says, I pray thee, tell me then that he is well. And Demetrius, trying to get what he can, he says, and if I could, what should I get there for? So he's like, well, even if I told you where he was, what would I get in return, right? And Hermia retorts, she says, a privilege never to see me more, and from thy hated presence part I so. See me no more, whether he be dead or no. And so she says, your reward is you'll never get to see me again, right? So whether or not you tell me, you'll never see me again. And so she's furious with him. She just leaves. She's had enough. And so then, let's see. Next thing, looking to line 90. So Oberon is now talking to Puck. He sees everything that's been going on. And he says, what hast thou done? Thou hast mistaken quite and laid the love juice on some true love's sight. So Oberon is now calling Puck out. He says, you did the wrong thing. You didn't put the juice on the correct eyes. This is such a problem. And so basically he's saying, now we've got to fix this. So down in, let's see, this is like roughly line 103. In the brackets where it's italic, Oberon, it says, applying the nectar to Demetrius's eyes. So now it's trying to fix the situation. So now he puts the nectar, the love potion, on Demetrius's eyes. Then come Lysander and Helena. They enter. And on line 140, so go ahead and jump to line 140. It's page 93 if you're in the Green Book, but line 140 overall. So Demetrius is now waking up, and Helena and Lysander are also on stage. They're also part of this scene now. And so he wakes up, and he sees Helena. Remember, Demetrius initially wanted to be with Hermia, but he wakes up, and in line 140, he says, O Helen, goddess, nymph, perfect, divine, to what, my love, shall I compare thine eye? And so essentially he goes on to say how beautiful and incredible she is. And then she responds, she is just so upset at this point because, first of all, remember, Lysander, he woke up with the potion on his eyes already previously, told her he loved her. She thought he was mocking her. So now Demetrius wakes up and she has been pining after him. She's been trying to get with him. And he has just said, no, 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 I'm not interested. Next thing you know, he wakes up, tells her, basically, you're the most beautiful person in the world. And so her response is important. So make sure you look at this. So this is line 147. Helena says, O spite, O hell, I see you all are bent to set against me for your merriment. And so essentially in this passage what she's doing, she is asking them why they're mocking her. So she's like, you've got to be kidding me, right? First, Lysander, you make fun of me. And now, Demetrius, you're really going to make fun of me? So she says, can you not hate me as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too. And so she goes on and on. She's like, you both love Hermia. Why are you doing this to me? She just says, this is terrible, right? And so basically Lysander and Demetrius, they don't know that they're still under the spell, so they try and tell her, no, 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 it's not true, we love you. Well, then, of course, enter Hermia. So now on stage, we have all four of the lovers. And so let's go to page 95 in the Green Book. So this is line 190 or so. And Lysander says to, let's see, he's speaking to Hermia. So line 190. Lysander says, Lysander's love that would not let him bide, fair Helena, who more engilds the night than all yon fiery O's and eyes of light. Why seekest thou me? Could not this make thee know that the hate I bear thee made me leave thee so? And Hermia says, you speak not as you think, it cannot be. And so essentially what happens here, Lysander is saying, don't you realize I hate you? That's why I left, right? And Hermia's kind of like, what are you saying? You don't know what you're saying. That certainly can't be true, right? And so after Helena sees Lysander tell Hermia that he's not interested, Helena just loses it. So this is on top of page 97. This is line, looks like 197. So Helena sees all of this going on, and she says, lo, she is one of this confederacy, right? So Helena sees all this, and she goes, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding, right? Now Hermia's in on it too. So she thinks all three of them are out to mock her. And so she goes on and she says, she's talking to Hermia, and she says, oh, Hermia, don't you remember the times that we shared? So this is line 205. She says, all the school days friendship, the childhood innocence. She says, basically, we were friends since children. How could you do this to me? And Hermia, obviously, doesn't know what she's talking about. Neither of them are aware that the two guys are under this love potion. And so Hermia, in line 225, she says, I'm amazed at your words. I scorn you not. It seems that you scorn me. So again, no idea what's going on. She's trying to figure it out just as much as Helena is. Helena, although, thinks that Hermia is just playing her. She thinks Hermia is messing with her, pretending like she doesn't actually know what's going on. But Hermia, time and again, says, no, I don't actually know what's going on. She repeats this in line 241. She says, Helena, I understand not what you mean by this. So she's like, look, Helena, I do not know, right? And so the gentlemen now are picking up on what's going on between the two women, and they are talking back and forth. They're saying, don't treat Helena like that, this and that. And finally, Hermia she thinks to herself that she's going to go talk to Lysander. And so this is line 265, page 101. So in the brackets, it says she takes hold of Lysander. So essentially, Hermia, she comes over, she's like, all right, look, I've had enough of this, I'm going to figure out what's going on. And so she comes over to Lysander, and he says, away, you Ethiop. And so if you look at the translation, so this is a reference to her skin. So basically, this, of course, would not be politically correct today, but he is essentially calling her a name here, and he's saying, get away from me, right? He's saying, get away from me, calling her a slanderous name, I don't want anything to do with you. And she obviously can't figure out what's going on. She says, why are you grown so rude? What changes this, sweet love? So back and forth, back and forth. They can't figure out what's going on. Everybody is confused. Well, at least the two girls are. The men seem to like Helena, but of course that's because they have the love potion. So this continues for a while in scene 2. The girls go back and forth. And the one line I want to point you to is line 342. So we already had one super famous line earlier that I talked about in the video, I think from 2 days ago, the course of true love never did run smooth. And then this next line is also significant. So this is another famous line from Shakespeare. This is line 342. Helena is speaking. She's talking about Hermia, and they've been fighting with each other. And one of the things that Helena has said is that Hermia is short. She has said Hermia is short, and so she must have all these little problems, right? So she's short, she's mad, she's not as tall as I am, that kind of thing. And so Helena says, oh, when she is angry, she is keen and shrewd. She was a vixen when she went to school, and though she be but little, she is fierce. So that line right there, line 342, though she be but little, she is fierce. You probably have heard that as well. It's honestly on a lot of t-shirts, and you see moms walking around with stuff like that, or little, decor signs that say, though she be but little, she is fierce. That's a famous line from Shakespeare. There you go. Next time you see it. Moving on, in scene 2. Next, let's look at line 370. So finally, Oberon and Puck are witnessing all of this, and Puck realizes that he got things wrong, right? He realizes he's created an absolute disaster of this entire situation. And in line 369 to 370, he said, did you not tell me I should know the man by the Athenian garments he had on? So remember at the very beginning, Oberon said, I want you to go put the love potion on the man with the Athenian garments, because he had only seen Demetrius. He didn't know that there was another Athenian man walking around in the room, or walking around in the woods. And so in this scenario, Puck's kind of like, well, how could you blame me, right? I didn't know. Obviously, though, he has to fix the situation. So in line 390, Oberon gives the flower back to Puck, and he says, I need you to take this, and I need you to go put it on Lysander's eyes, right? You have got to fix this. And he says, in the meantime, I will go to my queen. This is line 396. He says, I'll to my queen and beg her Indian boy, and then I will her charmed eye release from monster's view, and all things shall be peace. So Oberon says, well, you go fix things with Lysander. I'm going to go get back the changeling boy. Remember, that's what he wanted from Titania to begin with. That's why he did this to begin with, is that he wants this changeling boy, and so he thinks now he'll go convince Titania. He'll say, I'll take you out from under the spell if you give me this changeling boy. So that's his plan. And then continuing on in scene 2, I know it's a long scene, you guys are doing well, sticking with it. Basically, Demetrius and Lysander decide they're going to fight over who loves Helena more. They say the only way to be sure is to have a fight. And so Oberon, seeing that they're about to fight, he tells Puck basically, pretend to be both of them, right? Imitate them so they can't actually fight each other. They get confused. And so ultimately he ends up doing this. And so you see an example of this on line 433 when Puck is speaking, and in the brackets it says, in Lysander's voice. So Puck is imitating Lysander, and essentially he's just confusing them both. And so what ultimately ends up happening is they both just become so exhausted, they don't kill each other, they don't even fight because they're so confused with Puck's interference that they both just fall asleep. Helena also comes in. She falls asleep. She's tired. She's upset. So at that point, so we're now looking at line 470, we have 3 of the 4 lovers, and then next thing you know, Hermia also walks in, falls asleep in the woods, line 475. So now all 4 of the lovers are asleep, and Puck can finally, hopefully, fix the situation. So line 476, Puck says, on the ground, sleep sound, I'll apply to your eye, gentle lover, remedy. So he applies the nectar to Lysander's eyes with the goal of when Lysander wakes up, he will now be back in love with the person he's supposed to. Keep in mind, Oberon does not tell Puck to put it back on Demetrius's eyes because he wants Demetrius to be in love with Helena, right? Because Helena initially wanted him, and so he was trying to make the love mutual. So we're going to leave Demetrius as he is, but apply it to Lysander's eyes so when he wakes up, hopefully he'll be in love with Hermia, the one he was in love with to begin with. So that is the end of scene 2. Lot went on there. Obviously, some fun play on words with the lovers back and forth changing, the irony with Bottom, and how he has a donkey's head. So if you have questions about that, let me know. But those were just some of the lines I wanted you to see and pay attention to. Of course, the famous Shakespeare line, like I already mentioned, though she be but little, she is fierce. So hopefully that helped your analysis of Act 3. What I'm going to talk about now is the oral quiz. So today you are filming. You should have already gotten started on this. Hopefully you've been thinking about what you want to do for your main point for your oral quiz. And today you're actually going to turn in your oral quiz by 11:59 p.m. So all of the directions are on the daily agendas, and I'm going to reiterate them here. So first of all, this is number 4. So your oral quiz should be no longer than 2 minutes, same thing as always. And you should record yourself or have a family member record you. So up to you how you choose to do it. If you want somebody to record you so you feel more like you're presenting, I don't care. Third, you should present it as if you would in class. So do your best to look up, try not to use fillers, don't use first person. All the same rules apply that you would usually use for an in-class oral quiz. Also, you should have no more than a half page of bulleted notes. It will be very obvious if you are reading straight from a paper, I promise. So again, continue to look up. You can have your notes there, you can read your quote, but look up and don't just read from a sheet of paper. By the time you go to upload it, make sure you leave enough time. It takes a while. So Mrs. Clarkson and I tried uploading a 2-minute video. It was 2 minutes and 5 seconds, something like that. And it did work. It just took several minutes. So make sure you're uploading it in the correct format. So you have to actually upload it with a movie format or an MP4, something like that, where the video itself will upload. And give yourself some time. If you're having issues, send me an email. But it looks like a couple of you, from what I can see on Turnitin.com, you've already submitted your oral quiz, which is awesome. Go you. And once you do that, that's it for the weekend. So after you have finished reading Act 3 and you have turned in your oral quiz, you're set. So enjoy your Easter with your family. know how much I miss you, and we will pick up next week with block schedule, so keep an eye out for that. We'll only have literature every other day, so hopefully that will continue to ease any stress you might have while we're doing this remote learning. All right, I miss you. Have a great weekend. Talk to you guys later.